Cuddle up, game fans. It's time for another week and beginning of your Wednesday night weekly addiction. What is the slogan? Oh, the midweek addiction. That's it. The midweek addiction has returned. And speaking of addictions, Sarumaru is here. Hello, Saru.
You just call him a dick?
He did call me a dick.
Welcome
Speaking
back. Ope is here.
Hello.
Jesus Christ.
How are you?
Luke Stier is back again.
The one and only. My real name is a mystery.
Dragon Master Dan. Hello, sir.
Hello. How are ya?
Hello.
Connor McLeod of the Clan McLeod is also with us.
Yeah, I'm like a bad case of herpes. You can't get rid of them.
Aw, that's a good case of herpes if it was for you.
I appreciate
I don't
that. I feel like the stings like when I pee.
You know, all
It's
that
in
kissing
raisins.
toilet seats panned out, didn't it?
It's always going to pan out that way. Anyway, this week our panel of experts is going to sit and talk about the Nintendo Switch
Is that what
and all
that
the
is?
crap that's been coming out for it. A little handheld that could. A handheld
I
slash
thought
console.
you said this. I thought we were going to talk about the Game Gear.
No, we're
Are we?
talking about a
We can
handheld
talk
people
about all the similarities.
I
a
got my
handheld
Game
people
Gear.
actually give a shit about.
I thought
Whoa.
we was talking about handheld battery drain.
I have the game.
Whoa.
Whoa.
So here we are. And I apologize now if there's any audio quality issues or anything like that with my connection. It says I'm doing really well right now, so who knows? We'll just ride it. We'll just do it live.
Oh, we know.
But earlier today, we could do a couple things. We could do pickups and then go right into the Nintendo Switch stuff if anybody has anything they've gotten recently. Otherwise, we can just start chatting about today's Nintendo Direct. Anybody would like to go for it.
I don't think I got anything this week.
Sorrow will probably save it for... What was that? What were you just drinking there, buddy?
Dude, just big face.
Dude, that was some
Holy
jank.
shit.
That was straight up jankum.
Sweet tea. Sweet tea.
Turkey Hill.
Yeet tea.
Turkey Hill.
Turkey
Turkey
Hill.
Hill.
That is some
That's some hooch.
Jameson.
Oh yeah, I love Jameson.
I guess I don't have any real new pickups or anything. I did get something in the last 2 weeks, though. Since we're on the topic of the Nintendo Switch, thought it was a good thing to talk about. 2 physical copies of some pretty cool games that I got recently. Wild Guns Reloaded, as well as Axiom Verge.
Oh, Axiom Verge is awesome. Amazing game.
Yeah, it is. I remember we were chatting about it a little bit earlier in the Discord. Someone said, was it a replayed games? Or what is that? No, limited run games.
Yeah, LRG.
It's not, actually. It's just a regular...
I bought it on
physical copy.
Steam
There's
and then I
nothing
bought it
special.
on Switch. It's awesome.
Yeah, I was just saying I got suckered into the digital copy on Steam, but it's a great game.
Very good Metroid-style game, for sure.
I actually
And Wild
find the
Guns
new
Reloaded
one
is
way
really-
harder.
The Switch one, or
Yeah, like it's like I don't remember the game being that hard. I don't know why it's so hard.
Well, you know, you thought it was going to be easy, and they pulled the old switcheroo.
Uncounted.
Too
That's
early.
one. That's
Too
one.
early in the show.
I'm
That's
keeping-
one. You got 4 more.
count. He's got 4 more.
Then he gets
Four
a
more?
stupid slap.
And gets his
See, it's funny that he went with the Switch thing instead. It's funny that he went with the Switch line instead of saying something like,
No.
"Well, speaking of things that Sorrow finds
It's
hard."
not funny. That's where you went wrong. It's not
That's
funny.
true.
Or tied to like pickups. We'd be like, and this week in pickups, we have something a little bit unexpected. You see, Sarumaru picked up Eddie Murphy.
Wow.
Wow, that's an old ass reference, dude.
It is.
That's going back.
I don't get it.
Something about bananas sticking in their tailpipes. I don't know.
He's talking about that time Eddie Murphy picked up that transsexual hooker and his career went in the toilet.
Oh,
Oh, that one time.
That one time.
the best of both worlds.
Career's never
That's
been
all
on the
it
toilet.
So should we? Should I?
Dude,
play my
if
Switch
you've
game?
seen Norbit and Nutty Professor, his career is definitely in
Yeah,
the
but
toilet.
Saru is all man though.
Monkey and Shrek.
There's no
However,
trans.
He's doing
That's
fine.
true. Shrek was good.
Isn't he going to be in Aladdin as well?
I heard he was going to be in Aladdin.
I'm sorry.
I'm gonna be an Aladdin.
Are you
Oh,
going to
I
be?
did. Here, you girls talk amongst yourselves. I did grab something. Let me get it.
Girls.
I understand that Star was probably going to be Jafar in the new Aladdin.
I thought he was
You're-
going to
you're
be
cutting out
Princess
quite a bit.
Jasmine,
Dude, I thought he was gonna be the Sultan. Shit,
the Sultan of Swat.
them Sultans a swing.
He left. us.
Nice.
So yeah, we've got some pickups.
So, yeah, he's going to come back with his pickups. Anybody else got anything they want to talk about? Took a boot.
Well, kind of tied to this, Opethian brought up the Game Gear earlier, and I learned something today, which is that there's a company that's going to be making apparently drop-in replacement screens, not just for the Game Gear, but also for the Lynx. So rather than modding a screen that's not the correct aspect ratio, sometime soon there's going to be, for approximately $70 a pop, a replacement drop-in Game Gear screen that'll be brighter, better refresh, no
Use
blurring,
less battery.
and use less battery. So
Hopefully.
That ribbon cable is still gonna be a pain in the butt to get in there, though, isn't it?
I hear Dan in my living room.
people hear me everywhere.
People watching in the living room.
I bet nobody's watching this right now on his 4K TV.
I bet nobody's
Ouch.
watching this right now.
On their
I don't know.
4K TV.
Oh yeah, Aaron is Aaron Nanto. Is that his name? Natno.
Eli.
Got 6 viewers.
Game Huggers ASMR.
There you go. Is it in 4K yet? Do we have 4K sponsorship yet?
We need commercials.
All right, so I did pick up one thing this week. That was this guy here,
Oh, that's a good game.
Assault Suit Valken.
Assault
Ooh.
Unit. That's not Lanos.
They made one for the PS4
should.
recently.
Yeah,
That,
those are
yeah, that's
Lanos.
You know, I doubt it.
Lanos.
But it-
Lanos 4? Is that? I think the fourth game.
Yeah, I think it's because it's just a kind of a redo of the Mega Drive one.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh well, that's bullshit.
Well, that's
You
why it was
got
only
hosed.
that's why it was only $30, man.
Bush. I need it physical.
I wanna get physical.
I need to be able to touch it.
You'll be able to shove it in your ass, right?
Hopefully.
Yeah,
So are we showing off
that's
the
right.
Switch games?
Yeah. Yeah, anything you want to talk about right now?
I thought
We
it
were
was-
going to go into the Switch.
I thought we were doing Switch stuff.
Yep, so today there was a Nintendo Direct, and there's quite a few new Switch products that were announced, along with some updates to existing ones, and that includes a new release of super secret Smash Brothers content,
About
which I'm
Nintendo
sure no one here is excited about.
as well.
Yes, I'm still playing Melee.
Hey, I'm hoping they include Doom Guy in it because my brother and I are playing it right now.
I want to see Shantae in it.
You know what?
Ew.
All I wanted was Gino, and he's technically in the game.
You
But
talking about
it's like-
from Animal Crossing?
No, Super Mario RPG.
Gino,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
wizard guy.
Gino the Wizard. Yeah, he's in
The
there. but
little
He's,
puppet.
he's like the sticker in the single player.
You do
mode.
that weak ass seed cannon.
Tweak, wasn't he like a me outfit or something?
No, he was in the last one or the one before, whatever.
Because that's what happened to K. Rool, I think, and now K. Rool is a character now. He got out of that purgatory stage.
My friends had a long history of trying to get Captain N in there ever since they had like the right in the character that you want to see in the Wii version.
Dumb.
And I'm like, dude, no, Captain N is like a relic of the 90s and does not need to be in this fucking game.
He never had a game for a reason.
Exactly. You know what? Howard and Nestor should be in a game over Captain N.
Well, Nestor has that
Nestor's
bowling
got-
game on the
yeah,
Virtual
Nestor's got
Boy.
bowling.
Yeah,
So
heard
he's
that's
actually got like a
good.
legit reason to be in there.
I mean, if
Yeah.
Ice Climbers can be in.
The Virtual Boy is great.
I used to have one. The 3D on that is pretty legit.
The Virtual Boy has mostly really good games on it out of its surprisingly small library.
Yeah.
The issue here is it's just kind of an inconvenient system to use. There aren't a whole lot of comfortable ways to play it. Obviously, the black and red isn't so great. But if you got one at a discounted price for the many, many years they were in low demand and
Cool.
picked up the games, you'd find a lot of fantastic software. And by the way, Josh, you're coming through very robotic.
Yeah.
So we're gonna just continue to talk here. But one of the cooler things about the Virtual Boy is the fact that it has also a really cool sound chip, and I think the music that comes out of it reminds me a little bit of the music that you would find in the TurboGrafx or the PC Engine, combined with the fact that there's some just absolutely fantastic Hudson games on it as well.
They're
Dan,
Yeah,
I want to
Virtual Boy is
mention to
fantastic.
that point. So there is a homebrew version of Street Fighter 2 on the
I'm aware.
Virtual Boy. It
I'm
sounds
more than aware.
extremely similar to the PC Engine port.
It's a little bit different. There is no dizzies and there's no
that's
bonus
Pokeball.
modes. They're just tied to
There's
the
no
Street Fighter
color.
2. There's actually more, like as a good example, if you go to Dalsum stage, you have more layers of elephants and things that the PC Engine version cut corners on due to its 8-bit power. That you see in the Virtual Boy version, you have the multiple rows of background animations and things like that. So it's actually taking the fact that it's black and red and is in 3D, it's actually a better port in some ways visually than, say, the PC Engine version, but the sound seems to be pulled directly off of that hue card.
Yeah, they probably had to get it from somewhere.
Yeah, those bastards.
You know what's honestly surprised me the most about that Virtual Boy was the fishing game was really good.
That's one that has a surprising amount of Japanese that's required. And a gentleman by the name of Benjamin Stevens fairly recently, within the past 2 or so years, translated that into English.
Oh, nice.
So there is now an English patch for the fishing game. But if you do not speak or read Japanese, that game is surprisingly difficult to play in English.
I was really surprised because it's the same thing with like sports games in the Neo Geo. I don't expect to like those all that much because sports games on a regular console aren't all that good, but they did it right, and it's like, wow,
Well,
even if you're not into this, you can get into this.
Well, and the cool thing about the sports games on the Neo Geo is that they are very, very arcadey, which, of course, by definition, the Neo Geo is an arcade console. You would expect that. But you have games that play more like NBA Jam of, say, baseball or soccer than any sort of a simulation. And I think that's what makes some of those games really, really fun, is playing Baseball Stars 2002 and powering up your hitter with extra steroid power. So he can hit a little bit better.
Baseball Stars 2.
Or
And you know
playing...
what? Tying
All
it
about
back in,
League bowling.
you can totally get the
I
Switch.
think Game Huggers is having technical difficulties right now.
Yeah, so we'll
Yes,
continue on this. But yeah, League Bowling is actually a fantastic sports game on the Neo Geo as well.
I love it.
Got the beer frame.
Mhm.
Got the beer frame.
Love it. Where is my League bowling?
The Super Sidekick games. So yeah, but let's roll back over to the Wii a little bit. So there was some brand new stuff announced today. And one of the things that actually surprised me just a little bit, just because it's something that I associate with Nintendo being very against, is Final Fantasy 7 and 9 are coming to the Switch.
Pretty
But
cool.
guess what the price is? For 9, it's $21.
Oh, okay.
You know what was
$10 on iOS.
They had the foresight to go ahead and say that they want 7, they want 9, put 8 in the fucking trash.
Well, and that's where it belongs, really.
Exactly, but it's like you always see them. You always see them trying to push it. Like, well, you could get all 3 of these classic PlayStation games. It's like, but I don't want that one in the middle.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 8 something, and it's terrible. But what I was going to mention about that, I was kind of surprised to see Final Fantasy 7 after all these years, and after I recall Nintendo even making somewhat negative comments about Final Fantasy 7 in the press years ago after it was not on their system, and there was quite a bit of controversy after that. It's interesting to see the game that I most associate with the original PlayStation in its prime winding up on a non-Sony console. I think that's kind of an interesting thing, even though I'm sure that was an
I think
inevitability.
it's money. The money is the
Oh,
reason.
absolutely.
Yeah, there
Absolutely.
was a contract a while back. I think there was an article on it. I don't have it on me at the moment, but there was definitely some sort of exclusivity deal between Sony.
Yeah, and it's tied to Final Fantasy VII. And since we're on this topic, I picked one of these up today, or at least I ordered one today, and this might be a good deal for anyone else who's looking to hack stuff. The PlayStation Classic is only $40 on Amazon now.
And people still don't want it.
People still don't want it, but just for the purpose of having potentially an easier way to play some of the fan-translated games and things that are out there that I might want to play on my HD TV, I think there's some value in picking up a PlayStation Classic at $40. And with games like Final Fantasy VII on it, it's an interesting way to play the game, especially if they're going to want $20 for the download on the Switch, and you can physically buy a copy of the PlayStation Classic with a physical piece of hardware with it on it for the same price, or for not the same price, for half the price. So you get the idea. For a discounted price.
I just think it's a bad look that they just came out with that, basically cashing in on the mini craze, and they're already having to drop the price because it was so half baked.
Because it was shit.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, and you're
loud and clear.
Now.
That's awesome. I'm actually using my cell phone right now. So.
Okay, we thought you were like Esteban in the bathroom.
Oh no,
Esteban Joe.
I could go to the bathroom if you guys want me to.
Think give us a tour.
That has to happen.
Yeah.
All right, so I heard you guys talking a little bit about like some of the Square Enix stuff that they were talking about. That was a big chunk of that. I mean, we're getting like Final Fantasy VII.
Oh my God, we were just talking about that.
9 Chocobo's Mystery Dungeon.
Hey, Chocobo Dungeon is actually getting not that bad.
Cornico's Grand Adventure.
Whatever, but you know what I'm most excited for and all that? I guess Final Fantasy VII on a Nintendo system would be pretty cool, but I'm actually really stoked about online play for Crystal Chronicles. That's going to be super fun.
On the Switch?
Yeah.
What?
Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles remastered in HD.
But nobody wants to carry the bucket.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. It's so much better now that you can force some sucker online to do that, because
Dude, I'll do it.
When I first tried that game, and I had nobody else to play with on the GameCube, and it's like, I'm not finding 4 people that want to play this.
I was always cool with being the healer of the group and being the bucket bitch. I would carry the bucket and just drop, and while all the meat market men were like hacking and slashing at the boss, I would sit here and throw healing potions in the middle of it.
You're a good man, Charlie Brown.
It is. It was fun too. It was awesome.
There was one brand new Square Enix game that was announced today, though. It was like Oniki or something.
Yeah,
I definitely butchered that name.
It looked bad. They also announced Dragon Quest Builders 2 for the US, which I'm sure Josh is absolutely thrilled about.
Dragon Quest Minecraft.
Dragon Quest Minecraft and Dragon Quest 11S is coming to the US. And one cool thing that I didn't know about the Switch version of this is that it has the 2D mode from the 3DS version
what I wanted to play.
of Dragon Quest 11.
On the shitter.
Wait, what?
So Dragon Quest 11 came out on the 3DS in addition to the PS4 2 or so years ago in Japan. And when it came out on the 3DS, there's a 3D where there's a rendered mode, and there is a 2D mode that's designed to look like Dragon Quest 6. It's a 16-bit style sprite and everything version, and you can actually switch between the two of them in live play because they rendered.
And they made a whole game that way. So
yes,
that's super cool. Awesome.
Super.
Yeah.
Super. So, okay, that's really cool. That's a lot of really great RPGs that are coming out for the Switch. That's pretty awesome.
There's one more.
There's one more indeed. We're going to talk about Fire Emblem, the 3 Houses or something like that.
That's not what I was thinking of.
Yeah, what was the Platinum games on, like Astral something?
Astral Chain.
Astral Chain, that was it.
I want it.
How is that an RPG? We're talking. This is like fucking Bayonetta with different characters.
It is. It looks cool.
Well, isn't that Devil May Cry with Bayonetta characters?
With Power Rangers.
I didn't see them selling Krispy Kreme products, so it's not quite the new Power Rangers, but
Ranger Netta.
It's so meta.
Plus, I like Devil May Cry. What the hell, Opie?
Castlevania May Cry. Which came first, Castlevania or Devil May Cry?
Definitely Devil May Cry.
Definitely. Not even close.
That's pretty close. That's closer than you think, but definitely Devil May Cry.
That's what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Capcom.
You're welcome. Wait, what?
We need to get Brandon on here just to give the you're welcome.
So, favorite Switch game so far?
Mario Odyssey by far for me.
Big ups for Odyssey.
Woo.
I think
Zelda
Breath of the
Breath
Wild
of
was
the Wild.
a solid game, but it
Breath of the
laid
Wild.
the foundation for a sequel. Mario Odyssey, though, polished all the way through.
So my complaint about Mario Odyssey is that there are moons everywhere. It's like a goddamn Lucky Charms box.
Oh
You
no,
go
a game for kids to be completed by everyone.
Well, but Mario 64 was beaten by kids. Okay, Mario Galaxy was beaten by kids. Mario
I beat
Galaxy
kids
2
who played Mario
was beaten
64.
by kids. Bing Crosby was beaten by. Oh, we got that backwards. But
Wow.
in any event,
Dark, man.
Mario Odyssey to me had a few too many moons to pick up. I think it was a bit too liberal with trying to give out
Liberals.
rewards and keep you. Well, we don't like those people either, but we'll get to that later. And then I'll talk to you about
They
a
play
certain
video
game
games.
publisher I don't like. But no, nonetheless, what I was going to get at really quick is I think they were a little bit too liberal in the dispensing of moons. I thought there wasn't quite as much level variety as I would have liked for a game that's 20 some years newer than Super Mario 64. Even though I feel like we've gone a long way, I would have liked to see a little bit more level variety, especially since it's a decade past Mario Galaxy, and I didn't think the game was as fun. That's not to say Super Mario Odyssey isn't a great game. It is. But to me, Zelda Breath of the Wild was the best experience I had in the Nintendo Wii.
So my experience with Breath of the Wild was great, and I'm certainly not going to argue otherwise. I tracked down all 900 of those stupid little Korok seeds, and that seriously ruined the game for me.
That's a level of OCD-ness that's just. I mean, it makes me think to myself, okay, I'm going to count every Rice Krispie before I put it in the bowl. That's what.
It's honestly pretty similar because after a while, I think it's like once you get to like half of them at like 450 or something, that's the last upgrade you can buy with them. And so it's like the next half of them don't give you anything until you get that golden poo statue.
So this is and not the Winnie the, by the way, but a completely different poo. But nonetheless, what I wanted to get at is this is something that I used to do when I was younger, partly because when I was a kid, I didn't have a whole lot of money, and every time I got a game, it was a big event. So I would go through and unlock everything in every game I bought and played. And as I got older and as I had more games and a lot less free time, I started to say, you know what? I don't want to put this much effort into finding every Korok seed or every moon or whatever MacGuffin a game gives you as some sort of an extra. Who else goes through the process of going through and picking up everything in the game, or are you someone who's simply happy with whatever the normal storied ending to a game is?
When it comes down to that, I'm the guy that has to go and find everything still. Like, I got all the moons in Odyssey for the lame reward that you get for that. And, I ended up with the poop statue, and it's like, it's just, there's a whole track record here of it's like, I dump way too much time into some of these.
Well, as long as you're not playing Hannah Montana games and sharing your Xbox Live achievements on that, we're good.
No, I'm not a duophile.
But Luke, what about you?
Anyways,
when you
What
play
is
through
duophile?
games,
When
do you
I play
go
games,
through? Yes, do you go through and get every little trinket and extra? And
no. I used to be, honestly, same. I used to be more like that when I was younger, especially since I didn't even buy my own games. Like, my parents got me like the occasional Game Boy Advance game that came from GameStop, had like a yellow sticker on it, so I knew it was used. But I would play those in 100%. But now, like, especially with college and stuff, I'm fine beating the game. In the case of Odyssey, like I did half of the moons, but that was just so I could get like the last level, because you need like 500.
Yeah, 500 for dark.
I must just spend like 5 hours in the dragon level just farming coins from the charge and chucks, because you can buy like 100 moons or something. I think that's kind of lazy game design, but.
So I spent in the plant kingdom or whatever, when you put that, you go up to the very top in the clouds and there's that coin mini game or whatever. Mm-hmm. I must have played that like 500 times, because it got you like 300 coins every time you did it. And
well, we want to be very clear here. The Plant Kingdom is not the kind of place that OSG would want to visit, despite the name.
Why is there no free Vita games there?
There's not. But Opethian, are you the kind of
Serious.
person who likes to play through games to the end? Do you just like to get to the end of the story? What kind of gamer are you? Are you a completionist, or are you someone who's happy just playing through the game, experiencing what you want out of it, and moving on to the next game?
Oh, I'm a collectard. I just look at the front cover and the spine, and then I go to bed. That's all I do. Am I cool now?
No,
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
You only
You're-
to be cool. You got to put an emphasis on things like the manual baggie, the registration
I
card.
can't get my greasy paws on that stuff. It'll
Yeah.
devalue.
These things have to be there, though. It's
Yeah, Opie, what's
yeah,
your
they-
average VGA rating for your collection?
Oh yeah, they got to be like gold, like 95 plus, maybe 96. Like, anything silver tier, that's fucking pleb, man. Can't mess with that, man. How about you guys? You guys feel the same way too, right?
I'm happy if it's complete.
Yeah, that's kind of how it depends on the system and the type of game and things. And we can get a little bit into the collecting topic here before we move on to asking Soromaru how he likes to play games. But if it's something like, is a good example, a Game Boy or a Game Boy Advance game. In certain cases, like it's a Game Boy Color or a Game Boy Advance game, I like to have them at least with the box and the manual and obviously the cartridge itself. If it's something that's really old, like it's 2600 stuff, or I think people know I've been picking up a
that
lot of
just
Famicom
belongs in
games
the
recently.
trash. That's just the trash.
Come on.
I picked that stuff up loose. But Soromaru, how do you play games? Do you like to play games and get every little trinket and extra item?
Mm-mm. I used to when I was a kid, but nowadays I just play the main game, and I'm just happy if I get to even finish that.
Thanks, all you assholes, for reminding me I have nothing going on.
And finally, Josh, if we can hear you okay, how do you like to play games? Are you the completionist? Do you look for those achievements? Or do you just like to finish the game to a point where you feel like it's complete?
I hope you play.
Yeah, I can't say I'm much of an achievement type player. I definitely don't like go and seek out 100% or all of the your gamer tag or gamer points and stuff like that. I don't go through and do all that, but I do kind of wander about and get lost a lot of times where like side quests and things like that seem to like kind of like fall in my lap. So like if I'm playing any kind of game, like if my kids are watching or friends watching or something like that, they'll be like, "Dad, you're just supposed to go in this room or just go in this room." And I'm like, "Well, hold on. There's a bookshelf over here, or there's a treasure chest in this room, or there's something like that." So I don't know. I definitely am a pokey player. If a game is like 10 hours, expect me to take 18 hours to beat it.
Yeah.
It's really weird. I was actually watching my kids play that stupid. So it's just like Fortnite, but it's whatever it's called, Apex Legends or whatever.
Titanfall.
Yeah, and I actually thought
By the way,
graphics.
is that the Titanfall dance, Luke?
Or like I know the
Full
Fortnite dance.
AE.
No, when you said
Jesus
Titanfall,
God.
you did
Put
this.
that away. Put that thing away.
I used to be a big fan of Titanfall. I don't even play shooters, but when I heard this game didn't have Titans or wall running, I just lost interest. I'm glad other people are enjoying it, though. It's doing crazy well.
It is doing really well.
Dude,
Anyway, what I was going to mention was I thought that the graphics and the some of the attention to detail inside of buildings and stuff were really, really well done. And I was playing it for a minute or two, and I wound up pretty much going into a room and looking at, what was it? It was like some architecture in a room or something like that. And I was just staring at it, and then I got killed from behind. And it's like, yeah, I'm not made for this world. I'm like, and my thought is like, people just fly through these rooms and they're not even paying attention to it. And it's like, do you know how much development work went on in this room to like create the windows and create the, and everything's just like, this is a lot of work that went into it, and no one's going to even appreciate it for a second. So I'm that guy, and I got shot in the back of the head.
That's what you get for appreciating it.
I guess.
I'm like,
Hey, there's no cure for autism, man.
It's like, wow, look at all these textures, dead.
I want to just stack them in a row.
You're a jerk. Anyway, no, yeah, I tend like okay, so as far as recent types of games, I tend to just kind of go through the campaign or the main story of the game and get through it to the end if I can. Like Saro mentioned, if that even happens, I mean, I would say more times than not, I start a new game and I don't even pick it up for months and months and kind of forget
Come
where I
on,
even was.
man.
I do that as well. A game kind of has to hook me for me to pick it up and play it regularly. Like I'll start a game And if I'm not pulled in within the first 40 or 50 minutes, that game might not get played again. And sometimes I have a bad tendency to play a game, get really into it for a few days, get stuck somewhere, get to some sort of a stuck point, and not revisit the game for a long time, and then forget where I was.
Yep. And it's best just to start it over at that point.
Yep.
Yep. Mhm.
So
Yes.
let's go back to the Nintendo Switch conversation. What is your overall opinion? We're now a little under, what is it, just right about 2 years
Just about
from
2
the
years.
release
March 3rd.
of the Switch. Has the system met your expectations so far? What are your thoughts on it? What do you think? Let's start here with Connor, since he's on the far left.
Dude, coming off the Wii U, I really didn't expect a whole hell of a lot, to be honest with you, because I bought the Wii U and I bought pretty much most of the video games for it, since that's really all there were. And I know there's been a lot of Wii U stuff that's been re-released on the Switch. Dude, how do you do that? That's nuts.
What was that? It was like quack, quack.
I don't know, and I want to know. Like,
I just went. "Huh."
I was like, oh, I thought that was Saru with his hands
Oh,
doing
it
that. I was like, how are you
It happened
doing
right
that?
as I was doing that.
I know, he's like this, and I'm like, how are you doing that shit?
Fucking voodoo magic.
Dang, man. I was like, teach me.
Did everyone say what their
But anyway,
favorite
so
games were for this?
Coming off the Wii U, it was like, I'm not expecting much, and then they dropped Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey pretty early on in, and they're releasing or re-releasing at least a lot of the good Wii U games that nobody played because nobody had it.
Still waiting for Mario 3D World though.
Oh man,
That is a good one.
Great
Yeah.
co-op game.
That is a good one.
I got rid of all my Wii U games in the hopes that they would just remake them all.
So, Josh, what about you? What have you thought of the Switch so far in the past 2 years?
I think it's exceeded my expectations by quite a bit. I think as far as popularity goes, it's back to where they were with the Wii, where pretty much everyone was either getting one or was interested in getting one. It has better software than the Wii had at the 2-year mark. I think it has a lot more really, really must-have games and the exclusive content as well. The Switch has got more. I mean, there are more Switch-only games than there are for any other system. Maybe the PS4, but the PS4 also had like a 3-year head start on this race. So, but like, yeah, there's just so many really, really great games. I guess there's a few things that are a little weird. Like, I know that it's a hybrid console handheld, and I do believe, like, pretty much what Dan had mentioned before is that there will be another version of the Switch that might even be like more specifically targeted towards the handheld market, because there's a lot of features on the Switch that are not on, or I mean, there's a lot of features that were on the 3DS that are not on the Switch, like the cameras and the, and like, well,
We don't need that shit.
Well, I don't know.
I don't know.
I think
The camera, dude.
They really improved with the newer 3DS models, like the 3D facial tracking part of the whole thing. It is way better on the new ones than it was in the launch.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just missing a few things, and then also like the online market as far as what games are available. Doesn't the 3DS also, you can download like Super Nintendo games on that? Like,
yes.
Isn't there, like, yeah. So it's like weird that there's like so much available on the 3DS, but the Switch still doesn't have like access to a lot of that stuff. But I mean, eventually, I assume it will get there. So, I mean, like, I don't know. Connor had mentioned the Wii U. I also got a Wii U. We waited a year on that, and I thought the system was pretty neat, but really it was just a major disappointment. I was not excited at all about that. The Switch, it was kind of like, well, let's just jump in and see how it goes, and obviously it's been going really well. So tons of great games for it.
All right, Luke.
Okay, so I mean, I'm younger, so my experience is a little different. Although I had a PS2 growing up, the Wii was basically my main console. So I'm sure some of you guys here might have been little fanboys when you're younger. So I was kind of a Nintendo fanboy. So I had huge expectations for the Wii U, and it just It was sad. I mean, I had my fun Mario 3D World. Mario was fine. Some other fun games on there like Captain Toad, but like it just wasn't there. I eventually picked up like a PS4. So when the Switch came out, I really wasn't expecting much. I was like, okay, we'll get Mario, Zelda. That'll be about it. Both those games were truly excellent. I think it's a decent system, but like I have a laptop, so for me the Switch is still kind of like it still has that secondary console status. Because I think everybody here probably still plays a lot of games on like PC or PS4, maybe Xbox One. So the Switch definitely has like the best first party on the market, but I mean there's still a lot of like good games coming out this year, like I guess Doom Eternal will be on the Switch, but still, there are other games that the Switch just can't run, and you need another system for.
That's how it's been for a while, though. At least with Nintendo games, is it's you buy a Nintendo console to play Nintendo software, and they know that, so that's why they don't put it on anything else.
Yep, and I think that's kind of the whole business market that Nintendo has. Nintendo is not going for the bulk of the market like Sony and Microsoft have been doing, and like we had seen in the past. They specifically put themselves into a corner and said, we're going to go do Nintendo stuff, and you might like it, you might not like it, but if you like it, the only place you're going to get it is here, and that's really their whole business plan, and that's been their business model going back to since the N64. Anyway, let's go to Sarumaru. Sarumaru, what do you think of the Switch so far?
It's surpassed my expectations, really, because I also had a Wii U, and I got that in launch. And at first I was like, I don't know how I feel about it. And then the more we had it, the more disappointed I became in it. So then when they announced the Nintendo NX and then the Nintendo Switch later on, I was like, man, I ain't going to get this shit. The Wii U sucks. But then like the closer they got to launch, they started showing stuff, like Master Blaster Zero. And I was like, oh, this looks kind of fun. I kind of want to play this. And I ended up getting one. And I love it now. I think it's awesome. It's got a ton of games. I have bought more Switch games than I have like any of the current gen consoles. I've had a PS4 since the white ones came out, and I have like 5 PS4 games. This is one of my Switch stacks right here.
Damn, son.
That's just one stack, and then I have another stack, and not all my games are even here because they're kind of like all over the place right now.
Hey, some of those look wrapped.
Yeah, because some of them are wrapped.
Damn, son.
I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sealed games still.
Call Rare Bucky. He'll hook you up.
Who?
Rare Bucky.
I don't know who that is.
I don't think people remember him, and I think
I know who he is too.
My age is showing.
Is it a Neo Geo on Neo Geo?
No, he's a PC Engines forum fanatic.
Oh.
He's all over the place. He's on Nintendo Age and stuff as well.
Yeah, and only farmers. I think he's on that one too.
Farmers only.
FarmersOnly.com.
This one here is my favorite though.
Yeah, I got that one. It's good. The boy.
Which one is that?
Monster
That
Boy.
Boy.
Monster Boy.
Boy.
So let's go on to Opethian. Opethian, what is your thoughts on the Nintendo Switch?
Actually, I like the system. I had a Wii U for a minute for Mario Maker, and I'm hoping they put that on the Switch. But
They are.
They announced
They
Mario
are.
Maker
They just
2.
announced it today.
Here's sequel.
So I mean,
So you
the
get
3DS
Mario.
version was garbage, but I mean, yeah, I got a lot of Switch games. They're good. I can play on the shitter. I mean, what more can I ask for?
So I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about the Switch, what I like about it and what I don't. I think to talk about the Switch, we first do have to talk about the Wii U. And the Wii U was a system that didn't really have a direction in the unique way that Nintendo normally does. I think they were onto something, but it was not a fully implemented and fully formed, fully hatched egg, if you will. It was, still kind of in the incubation stage. And that was the tablet idea. The Switch is the culmination of the tablet idea from the Wii, and I think it was very obvious what Nintendo wanted to do with the Wii U in making the primary controller a tablet, which is they ultimately wanted to make the Switch, but they didn't have the technology available at the time to do so at a reasonable cost. and you wound up with something that was kind of half-baked. It had a camera on it. It was a big tablet. It was a very comfortable controller. The system was considerably more powerful than the Wii, and was, PS3, Xbox 360 level powerful,
Yeah.
but that didn't hold over so well for, once the PS4 and Xbox One came to the market. I think tied to the Switch, one complaint I do have is this. I'm actually a little bit disappointed with the grade A software that's on the system, if only because the vast majority of it I already have on the Wii U that are things I really want to buy. I have probably about 20 Switch games, but I have most of the big games that came out on the Wii U. I have Pikmin 3. I have Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. I have new Super Mario Wii U and new Super Luigi Wii U and Super Mario World 3D and Mario Kart. Is it 8 is what they call it? I have
8.
all of these games on the
8
Wii
Deluxe.
U. Bayonetta 2 and so on and so forth. So the need for me to pick these games up on the Switch just because it's a more popular console isn't really there, since I already own and have played a lot of these great games. Another one that comes to my mind is Yoshi Woolly World. I like the fact that these games are being re-released for the Switch, but to me it also feels like Nintendo's kind of padding out the lineup with inexpensive reissues of games that were on the previous console.
That's absolutely what they're doing.
Oh yeah, they don't ever do that, do
doing
they?
that.
They don't ever do that.
No,
That's absolutely what they're doing, but that's honestly just following in the footsteps of what Microsoft and Sony did with the Xbox One and the
it is,
PS4,
and we saw a little bit of that on the Wii U as well.
You didn't like the first game for the PS4 everybody got being a remake of The Last of Us, the most popular game on the previous console?
Exactly.
But
what is interesting is that they're re-releasing these games, but they're not necessarily like just porting them. They're actually improving them or adding in all the DLC and stuff like that. And
Yeah, Mario
that I
Kart 8
Mario
has
Kart.
a proper battle mode. Like, instead of just going around a track and shooting shells at each other, now it's like Nintendo 64. It's like you go around a map and you can go up the ramps and go around the corners. You can like sneak around, hit people. It's great. It's a nice improvement.
And
one Wii U game I'd love to see on the Switch, and it only if they fix the controls, would be that Star Fox game that came out on the Wii U.
Yes.
Yeah, the controls on that are wretched.
What
Yeah,
was
the
that one
controls.
called?
Is that like Star Fox Adventures or something like that?
No,
Adventures was
Yeah, that's
game.
it.
It was like
Different.
Star Fox Zero, I think it was.
yeah, Star Fox
Yeah,
Zero.
that's it. Yeah. Now, if they would just do it,
for like $3.99. I haven't even opened it yet.
It is a horrible game, and you should destroy it.
There's two games that are in that box, by the way. There's Star Fox Zero, and there's some other Star Fox related game in the package.
Is
I
that
can't remember.
It's some kind of mini game tower
Slippy,
defense.
yeah,
with
Slippy Tower Defense or
it's a
whatever.
better game.
Yeah.
It's better than the big
better
one.
than Star Fox.
Yeah, it is.
But that's where you get a little bit too innovative with the control to a point where it's detrimental. But I think one thing that's kind of interesting is we'll see is the PS5, the new Xbox are both about a year away from being released from everything that we're hearing. What will happen to the Switch when that occurs? Our third-party developers who, up to this point, have done a pretty good job of supporting the Wii U with multi-platform releases to a much higher degree than the Wii or the Wii U saw. Is that going to stop once the PS5 and new Xbox come out? Or are we going to continue to see, at least for the next few years, a large number of multi-platform games making their appearances on the Switch? I mean, that's the real question to me, because that's what's differentiated the Switch from every Nintendo console really since the GameCube is the large number of multi-platform releases.
I think they'll still do them, even if they have to, tone them down a little bit.
Well, they're already doing that.
Well, yeah, then that's saying they're already doing that. But I don't think that the leap from PS4 to PS5 or Xbox One to whatever the hell they want to call the new one is going to be all that.
Xbox 2.
Whatever the hell they call it is going to be all that large.
TOO.
They still owe me the Xbox 720, man.
You'll never get that.
Yeah, I can dream.
Nobody skateboards anymore.
I could dream.
So here's another interesting question, and this is tied to speculation about the Xbox, the next generation one, along with the PS5. what do you think will be different about these coming consoles? Do you think we're just going to get even more powerful versions of the previous generation systems? Is one of the companies going to do away with physical media? Are we going to see a greater emphasis on VR in the future? What do you predict is going to be the future for these consoles? We'll start with Connor.
Microsoft's going all digital. They're going to do it, and it's going to be stupid.
It's gonna be awesome.
It's
agree
going to
with
be
that.
Fuck
stupid.
GameStop.
You're
I
talking
hope it
about Game
drowns
Pass?
GameStop.
Microsoft.
No,
Game
dude,
Pass.
they're all their stuff is going to be is what they wanted to do originally with the Xbox One. They want you to buy all your games digitally through them. You can't resell them. You
That's
know,
cool.
all
I don't
that stuff.
like any of their consoles anyway, so that's cool. I'm cool with that.
Isn't it possible too that Microsoft might do it where you can play your games anywhere? Because there's going to be
They have
you
that
know,
with
the,
PC.
the potential for like having Xbox on your PC, Xbox on an Xbox system, as well as even having Xbox Live on mobile phones and or the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, as I said, I remember they were talking about bringing the framework to Switch and mobile phones. You know, so maybe.
Well, and I recall that Microsoft's operating officer at some point just a few years back talked about how he liked the 3DO model of business. And he might be saying, why would he like a failed console like the 3DO's model of business? But what he meant was the idea of creating a framework that other manufacturers could make devices for, and then you essentially collect software royalties by being the framework intellectual property owner. And I think that's the direction that Microsoft is going to go. I think that you're going to see a next generation Xbox, and maybe Microsoft will manufacture their own version of it. But I think their intent is to turn it into a platform that other devices can connect to.
So
And
do
I
you
believe
think
they
there'll be
tried to do
games-
that with the Steam machines. Those were out a few years ago.
They were out a few years ago, and they did not do well. And I think you're going to continue to see that type of business model attempted, not necessarily successfully, in the future. And if anyone's going to have success at doing that sort of thing, it's going to be Microsoft or Apple, but probably Microsoft.
I don't know. Apple already tried a couple times with Apple TV and the Pippin.
Pippin, yeah, but it's a little bit of a different situation if you call it iGame, right?
iGame.
How about game you, game me?
Game it for always, just the way it should be.
There you go. I knew Dan.
So do you
would
think
get
that
it.
this Xbox Live, that if there is any kind of like version of it for mobile devices, do you think it will have any gaming at all on it, or will it just be kind of like a device to access friends and messaging and other little additional things? Like, could it be like was it a companion app for certain games, like Grand Theft Auto? You can download the map and stuff on your cell phone or whatever.
Well, I think that they're probably going for a Steam-like business model in the sense that not every game that's available on a full-fledged, powerful PC or Xbox One or Xbox Two or whatever the future system will be available on mobile devices, and all of the different devices that are encapsulated within the supported services systems. But there will be individual ports for probably Android and iOS and everything else, and they're going to try to use the Xbox Live service not just to connect you to people who are on Xbox Live and use that as a chatting and communication and sharing function, but additionally to potentially sell people mobile games or in whatever else they can port to it that'll be available cross-platform.
I kind of hope Nintendo can take that if they get the Switch framework or the Xbox Live framework or whatever, and leverage that, because their online capability is terrible. And that's like a huge thing now.
And then you pay for it?
Yeah, especially now that they want money for it. It's like, I always didn't mind paying money for Xbox Live, even when stuff like PSN was free, because Xbox Live was great.
Do they run ads on Nintendo like Xbox does?
Well, Xbox didn't used to be like so chock full of ads, but yeah, now they do. But it's like when you're paying for Live, and it's like Sony's getting its third or fourth credit card breach this year. It's like, well, it's not so bad.
Maybe I'll buy that stuff, right?
Maybe I'll invest the extra money and not get my shit stolen.
But tied to, let's go back a little bit here. So tied to the PS5 and the new Xbox, we asked Connor, we asked Josh. Luke, what do you think we'll see in the future?
Yes. Okay, so I brought this up a while back in the chat box, and this would have been an interesting topic to talk about, so I'll bring it up now. So there is a new PC gaming like graphics feature called ray tracing, and I can't bring up the video right now because we're on stream, but it's basically hyper realistic lighting for your games, and only the top of the line GPUs right now support it. And the list of games supports it's only like 24, but like Quake has it, the original Quake 2, Battlefield 5, and it cuts your frames in half, but it's like the visual upgrade. It's really like what the next gen consoles should have. So I'd really like to see that in the next gen consoles. But only time will tell. I'm sure they'll still focus on 4K, but apart from that, I don't really know.
So, Romaro, what do you think we'll see in the next generation of consoles?
I think what Connor was saying about Xbox going fully digital is probably going to be a thing that's realized. But I also don't think that just game consoles are going to do it. I think that they're going to do the whole like streaming games off a server, kind of like the PlayStation. What was it, View or whatever?
PlayStation
now.
Live.
Or on Live, and there have been a few other services that did that.
Yeah, do it off of like TVs and everything else. But I wouldn't be surprised if Sony copied Nintendo's whole portable hybrid thing. So apparently there's rumors that Sony wants to revisit the whole handheld thing. But I think that if they're going to do that, they're probably going to do it in a way like Nintendo did it. And it wouldn't be the first time that they copy Nintendo on something either. I mean, like, they totally ripped them off with the Move. I wouldn't be surprised if they did it over again.
And finally, Opethian, what do you think we'll see in the next generation of consoles?
Man, I don't care. I really didn't even like this generation. It's all about the games. If they come out with a game that I would play, like Dragon Quest 11, I will buy the system for the game. That's what sells me these days, because I'm just fucking old. I don't have time for games. So the games will tell. And Microsoft's been losing fucking 7 years in a row now. So good luck, fuckers.
Yeah.
All right. So in the last 5 minutes, real quick, I want to go over what my predictions are for the next generation of consoles. I think that you are absolutely right, Connor. I don't expect Microsoft to have physical media for their next generation system. This is going to be download only, and this is going to be the start of that Xbox cloud platform that they're going to be introducing and trying to implement throughout as many devices as possible. And it wouldn't surprise me if there isn't a physical Microsoft-made new Xbox system, but rather a platform that they introduce and try to partner up with other companies to make for devices. For Sony, I see a different direction than what anyone here has estimated, which is we heard improved 4K support, and I think that's true. We heard talk of copying Nintendo. I think Sony is going to throw a whole lot of effort into VR. The PlayStation VR has done reasonably well. VR technology is continuing to move along. It wouldn't surprise me if the key selling point of the PS4 is we have this brand new, potentially wireless, much higher resolution headset that goes with our brand new PlayStation 5 console, and that's going to be a big selling point, is we have the system that does VR and does it without having to set up an elaborate PC configuration with an Oculus or with an HTC Vive. And I'm probably mispronouncing or missaying the name of the Vive. But whatever.
It's the Vive.
The Vive. But kind of like the Vita
Like
or whatever you were calling it earlier.
The PlayStation Vitamin.
Vita.
Yes.
Vita.
So that's what I think is going to happen for the next generation of consoles. In any event, we're getting close to the end of our show here, so let's take some time and wrap things up. What are your closing thoughts? Again, we're going to start from the left with Connor. Connor.
I got to tell you, I think this next generation of consoles, like we were talking about, is really going to probably be my last one, in all honesty, because I've always said if they stop actually selling me the game and just, require the downloads, that I'm out. I'm just not interested anymore.
Yeah.
So
there's no physical media. I don't give a shit.
Yeah. So it's like, I kind of hope that doesn't happen because, I still get some enjoyment out of playing games, but I don't have a good feeling about it.
I think Nintendo will continue to give us physical media in some form.
I think the next PlayStation will have physical media as well, but I think they're going to try to de-emphasize it. I think they're going to have games, at least for the first few years, available in physical form, but we'll say, by the way, you can download this and get this cheaper, quicker, whatever else. And you're going to see them try to gradually phase that out while continuing to give people access to a Blu-ray drive and the ability to install games off of a disc. Josh, what do you think? Closing thoughts on this.
I think we're always going to have new Nintendo consoles. I think the next Nintendo console that they come out with, well, I believe we're 3 or 4 years away from that. I mean, there will be newer versions of the Switch. Who knows? Maybe it'll be like the 3DS, where there'll be newer versions of the Switch every 2 or 3 years. But I think I think it'll be successful. I think Nintendo's doing just fine. They obviously have a great idea. I honestly, so Sony, the PlayStation 5, okay. I mean, I pretty much agree with everything you guys are saying. But with the Xbox or the Xbox One, whatever they're going to call the next system, I really do think it's going to be something more similar to Steam. I think you're going to be able to just get a PC and run your Xbox games, all of them on it in 4K or whatever. There might be its own box that'll be getting sold too, but I mean, I don't know. Microsoft has never made a profit on one of their consoles that they've sold. I have an honest feeling that they're just going to do whatever they can, have the Xbox service available on other systems, PC, Switch, handhelds, whatever, and then certain games will be available for it, and that will be the next Xbox. It's going to be a very different landscape going forward.
Oh yeah, I completely forgot about that whole thing. I didn't even consider how Microsoft is putting their shit on everything else.
It's going to be like Steam.
Yeah, it's going to be Xbox the platform rather than the Xbox the console.
Yeah. So
Luke.
Yeah, I would assume
Hello.
PlayStation 5 will do just fine.
Luke.
Yes. Closing thoughts.
You got a minute. You're
Okay.
the last one.
I think nobody has mentioned what the game library could be, and my concern is, we've had AAA games for a while, but these budgets, they just keep ballooning to the point of insanity. And I think just going to a GameStop as a kid, I remember seeing walls of PlayStation 2 games. Now you go to GameStop, yeah, there's some more like digital indie games, but you only really have like a few shelves of PS4 games. And I think the variety of games is lacking. So my concern is with next generation, if they really, really, truly keep pushing the power angle, I don't know what kind of games we'll get, because the next upcoming like big PS4 exclusives are not necessarily like, I mean, I love Bloodborne, but the games we're going to get, Last of Us 2, that Kojima game, Walking Simulator, it's more like cinematic focus. So I think Nintendo is staying strong with making games that everyone can enjoy. Yeah, they don't have the best hardware. They don't have like the primary system. I like the Nintendo still focusing on, I guess, the games and local couch player angle. Those are my thoughts.
Saramaro.
You already asked me.
No final thoughts then, Opethian?
I thought we were still talking about the.
Yeah, what you guys said.
All right.
Yeah, lazy bum.
All right. Well, it looks like it's going to wrap up another week of Game Huggers here. Hopefully, Josh's internet connection will be back and functional for our next show and fully operational. From everybody here at Game Huggers, that's Connor. Say hi.
Adios.
Josh.
And good evening to you.
Luke.
Goodbye. Salutations.
Saru Maru.
Bye bye.
Heartblock.
Opethian.
It's the most important underscore on the internet.
It is.
There's my
And
boy. Yeah,
We
yeah.
will see you next week. If not next week, sometime in the future. So everybody have a great day. Remember to give someone a special game hug for Valentine's Day. And
Aw.
Bye-bye.
Have a great Dane.
Have a great Dane. Good grief.
Yeah, see, my
So
pun
I
is better.
like a Great Dane like school.